What's going on, YouTube? So, I got a cool one for you guys today. I'm going to explain it while I throw this last coat of color on this job, and then we'll get into it. All right, so for whatever reason, curiosity bit me today, and I was curious if I could shoot my sealer with a 1.5 tip. Because, you know, the drizzle that I got recently came with that 1.5 tip. So I look it up online. Sure enough, the TDS sheet says I can use anywhere from a 1.3 to a 1.5. So what did I do? Naturally, I slapped that 1.5 on there real quick. The nozzle and the air cap. And man, when I tell you that my sealer laid flatter than it ever laid before, I mean it. So then, it made me get a little more curious. Can I shoot my clear coat with the 1.5, according to the manufacturer? And I already knew that the LumaBase 2000, there's no way I'll be able to shoot that with a 1.5 just because it's a 4-to-1 and it's so thin. So then I looked up the LumaBase 3000. And unfortunately, the manufacturer only suggests a 1.3 or a 1.4. But let's be real. Do you think that's gonna stop me? Usually I'm a very by-the-book guy because this is, at the end of the day, this is science more than painting. But the way that sealer laid, I gotta try. I gotta try this clear with the 1.5 nozzle and air cap on that drizzle because I'm just curious. The only thing was, I did run the sealer on one of these panels. So if I'm gonna try it, I was thinking to myself, how could I try it without running the risk of getting a bad run in my clear? Then it dawned on me how I would do it. And I realized this would also be a great method to apply for a beginner painter who's worried about running their clear. Because I get a lot of comments on all my videos, my short videos, my long videos, about people saying, you know, if I sprayed like that, it'd be runs all over the place. So I figured, let me make this video and let me help out those guys at home that are just learning how to paint and give them a method that they could use to greatly reduce the risk of getting runs in their clear coat. So let's get into it. Okay, so there's two things that you're gonna wanna do to greatly reduce your chance of getting runs in your clear coat. The first part of this trick, we'll call it, is look up the TDS sheet for whatever clear you're using. Most clears can be reduced, it's an option. This clear that I'm using, as I mentioned before, I'm using LumaBase 3000. I'm not using LumaBase 2000 because I'm trying out a 1.5 tip and I really shouldn't be using that with either of these clears. But this one's a little thicker, so I feel a little safer going with 3000. They'll give you a range for reduction. They'll say like up to 10%. LumaBase 3000 says up to 10%. You're gonna wanna reduce it the maximum that they tell you you can reduce it. So I'm gonna go ahead and now mix up this clear, reduce it by 10%, and then we'll get in the booth and I'll show you guys the second part of this trick. Now, before we get into the second part of the trick, really quick, I just wanna explain to you guys why we're reducing it as much as we can. The reason is, the thinner your material is, the less likely it is to run because it weighs less. Obviously, gravity, things that weigh more fall quicker. If it's lighter, it's less likely to fall. Now, let's get into it. Okay, so what you're gonna wanna do is slightly lower your pressure from whatever you normally shoot at, and you're gonna apply a tack coat, which is basically like a drop coat for base, except you do it with clear. So lower pressure, further back, move nice and slow. Okay, now that we got that tack coat on there, you're gonna need to mix more clear. This time, you're gonna reduce your clear half as much as you did the first time. So if it allowed you up to 10% and you did 10%, now you're gonna do 5%. I'm gonna do that and then we'll get back in there. Also, if your clear calls for, say, a 10-minute flash time after the first coat, you only wanna give it half as long after the tack coat. So we did a tack coat, my clear calls for 10 to 15-minute flash time. So I'm gonna give it 5 minutes in between coats. Reason being is you don't want that totally dry when you put the next coat on. You need it tacky. What you're doing is giving your second coat of clear something really gluey to hold on to. This way your paint is not gonna run. Okay, we're back in the booth with our half as much reduced coat of clear. I'm shooting at my normal pressure. It's right around 25, 26 PSI. And now we're gonna lay this thing on here as a wet coat. Looking good. I hate shooting jam. There's just no like comfortable way to do it. And just so you guys could see, that's the 1.5. This thing, let me tell you, man, every time I use this gun, I'm impressed. Okay, so that was our first wet coat. Looks good. Now on your next coat, which is your second wet coat and final coat, depending on how confident you feel, you can go with no reduction. If you're not so confident, I would stick to the half reduction. And the reason why you want to bring it down to half reduction is because if you go full reduction every single coat, your clear is just going to have no body. And if you have any defects in it, like dirt or anything like that, you're just going to blow through it as soon as you start sanding it. Really, you don't want to reduce your clears as much as they say you can, unless you're going to do an extra coat. Then you should be fine. On this next coat, our second wet coat and final coat, I'm going to go no reduction. Oh, and also, we're going to give that the full flash off time. So my clear says 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to give it 15 minutes because I'm a little nervous using that 1.5 tip. I mean, it's coming out wet, as you saw. And on my way out of the booth, I was looking at the quarter and it looked kind of close, but I realized when I was doing it, I was painting it how I would normally paint it. And I'm hoping it doesn't run. I should have been moving a little faster. Like you saw on the doors, I was moving a lot faster once I realized, shit, I got to move a little faster because I'm using this 1.5 and it's really slamming material on there. So I'm going to give that 15 minutes and then we'll go back in there for our last coat. Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers right now. Okay. I guess the fingers crossing work, but here's what I was talking about. If you look right, hold on. If you look right around here, you could see that paint wanted to go, man. It wanted to run, but it held on. I could guarantee one thing. If I didn't do my tack coat, it would have ran. There's a reason why the manufacturer of the clear coat suggests you to use a certain nozzle and cap for reasons like that. I mean, I shouldn't be using a 1.5 with this clear, but that tack coat's gonna make it so at least I don't have to worry about that thing running down the side of it. Because I mean, this whole panel would have been dripping if I didn't throw that tack coat on there. Another reason why they have a suggestion on nozzle and cap that you use is because if you actually apply clear coat too wet, it'll die back on you. And obviously, using a smaller nozzle and air cap is going to restrict how much material the gun puts out. Anyway, let's throw on our last coat, our second wet coat, and see how this thing comes out. Here we go. I think we'll be all right. It actually kind of leveled that out a little bit with that coat. I tried to go a little drier on top that time. Did I ever tell you guys that I hate painting door jambs? I really like this color though, it's a sharp color. It was a pain in the butt to get the light flash though. I don't know why, it didn't have that much coarse metallic, but this thing was, I had to do 2 drop coats. Looking good. And that's it. We'll let this thing flash off and then I'll show you guys how it came out. And I'm still crossing my fingers that this panel's not going to snap on me. I mean, there's definitely a little something there, but that'll black right out. I'm really not worried about it. And here's our finished product. You could see that almost run ended up getting caught, most likely by our tack coat. And the finish is just outstanding. I mean, this is a freaking $100 gun. This thing blows me away every time I use it. It really does. I'm gonna leave a link to that in the description if you guys are interested in picking it up. You can get it on Amazon. That's it for this one. I really suggest if you're getting runs in your clear, you try those 2 things, reduce and tack coat. Because if I didn't do that on this job, this panel would have looked like the freaking ocean on me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Till the next time, peace.